This is Broadclyst Church. Broadclyst is a village about 6 miles outside of Exeter in the county of Devon in the UK. We're just going to have a look at the church and some of the memorials and just have a little explore and see what we can find. The church is a lot like Devon churches in that it's around about 500 years old. We have a lot of churches in the Devon villages that sort of era, so nothing exceptional here, although they are all exceptional in their own way. Like many of the churches, it has a preaching cross. These were used when the congregation was too large to fit in the church and the weather was fine, and then the preacher man, the vicar, the minister would stand on this cross and he would preach to the hundreds that would be gathered around this cross. A little different nowadays, methinks. Interesting little design on this stone for Thomas Norris. It looks like a plaque hanging over a pin with a piece of rope at the top. Something a little different. This one has a little unusual in the way of surname. As you move down the stone, Emma Birmingham. Not sure I know that as a surname. Certainly an important city. This one here is quite specific. John Chamberlain, who died on Saturday, November the 11th, 1876. There's some more Birminghams on this stone, but above that is Martha Tricky Perkins. I love that, Tricky Perkins. This is a very clear memorial, given that she died in 1848. That's nearly 200 years ago, 180 years ago. A very clear inscription on this stone. Underneath are deposited the mortal remains of Elizabeth, the relict of Joseph Gould, late of Newell, in this parish. There are some great names in this churchyard. We've got down here Giles Madge Davis, aged 59. And very close to it, we've got William Carnell Davis. This is outside the main door. We have this monument right next to the path to Archibald Boyd, the Dean of Exeter, who died in 1883. And the great names keep coming. Richard Merry and Harriet Merry. A couple of monuments here to the Ackland family, well-known land owners in Devon, landed families. Peter Leopold Dyke Ackland, to underline how tough times were. This stone is to Samuel Marden, 1900, master of George III Jubilee School. On this side we have Elizabeth Ann Stocker, his wife, who died in 1881, and yet on the third side we have also of 4 infant children. That's quite a mortality rate. We come right round to the other side of the church now, this large green area, but this is because they have moved all the stones to the side here, and here they are, too deep, almost like a wall running down the side here. Not in their original positions. We've got the Wish family here, Thomas Wish and Elizabeth, and William Trump Wish, son of the above. An interesting name on this one, Dulcibella Linnington, wife of John Matthews. Stone here, leaning at an unusual angle, James Sommer, MRCS, Inc. and LSA, who practice in this parish. But perhaps more interesting is this name here. His sister, Elizabeth Tryphosa Summer. This churchyard is full of interesting names. This one here says Hubert Thomas, son of Richard somebody Modgrudge. That's an unusual surname, if that's why I'm reading that right. Modgrudge. Here we have some Muddletons. Samuel Muddleton and Mary Muddleton, his wife. And here's a name. It seems to read William Bouterer. Not quite sure about that with that script. Of Locksbrook of this parish. A very clear inscription here, although the name is less common. Matthias Trood, Trood, and then underneath, twin sons, William and Joseph, who died in their infancy. And here we have one where you can read the surname as Mogridge, so presumably the other one we saw a little while back was Mogridge rather than Mogrudge. I'll have to show you this one for the simple clarity of the inscription and the way it's been preserved. William Snook, 3rd of December 1861, and his wife Elizabeth. Different sort of stone used on this one as opposed to most of the others. And it seems to have resisted the lichen and preserved the inscription much better. This one here is to Sergeant John Snook, and I'm never quite sure about the symbol above, whether it's the Jewish star or whether it's emblem used by the Freemasons. We need to check that up and find exactly what that emblem represents. A mention of someone that gave their life in the war here. The second one down, Elias Harris, killed in France, 1915, just 17 years old. There are several of the Commonwealth War Graves Commission memorial stones in this graveyard, and I'll just give you a view of the ones I can see. This is A.J. Lee, leading aircraftman, Royal Air Force, 1946. One to Private W.H. Palmer, Duke of Cornwall's Light Infantry, who died in 1919, just 21. This one to Gunner P. Lane, Royal Garrison Artillery, 1918, aged 25. Sergeant T. England of HMS Cyclops. And at the bottom it says late sexton of the church and his wife Emily. Partway down this mentions Henry Chambers, 2nd Lieutenant, 2nd Cambridge Regiment, who died of wounds in France, 1918. Close by it mentions Sidney Harry Rutley, who was killed in action in France, 1916. Almost hidden by this bush is one to Lance Corporal H. Garland, Devonshire Regiment, 1917. And part of the churchyard has been left to grow into a wildflower, wild grass area. Always very nice to see, although it does make reaching some of the memorials rather more difficult. This is Private A.J. Newton of the Pioneer Corps, 1943, just 19 years. J. Holmes of the Devonshire Regiment, 1944. This one is to Flight Sergeant Alfred Thomas John Mayle, RAF. Died 1945, aged 24. And this is the current or newer part of the graveyard. And if you want to see a couple of graves that have really been cared for, just look at the flower displays on these two graves. And we're going over the boards at the back now. Again, very well looked after. Well, that's a quick look at the churchyard at Broadclyst. We couldn't get in the church, it was locked up, despite the notice on the gate saying church open every day. It wasn't open when I was there. But do come. Broadclyst is a pretty little village, and the churchyard is well worth a visit. The inscriptions are easy to read, some unusual names, some amusing names, so well worth coming and spending some time here. Till the next time.